Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Off the Charts, right? This is an extension of the Money Mantra hosted by myself, Cha Cha. I've been doing this for a couple of months now, and it's pretty much opening up people's mindset to shift how they actually think about money. If you want more money, you have to do different things. If you want more success, you have to do different things. If you want better relationships, you have to do different things. And the money mantra is all about guiding people to figure those things out on their own, right? Success really is a team sport, but it also takes a lot of you showing up for yourself first, which is going to be extremely important. So if you are on this call today, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to be diving into a very, very, very limited series of one of my favorite business books, right? And the name of this book is called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. So this book is so amazing because it just puts wealth in a practical perspective for people who feel like it may be unattainable for them. If you don't know how to do something, how can you possibly do it? If I gave you the tools and I said, hey, go build this house, it would be probably really difficult. It's not that you wouldn't be able to figure it out, but if you actually had an instruction manual and an exact guide as to what to do, you'll be able to do it a bit more quickly. Something that's really relatable to this is Legos. I know my nephew loves Legos, and it's a lot of little pieces. It's a lot of moving parts, but he's going based off of what he sees on the box, right? So he knows it can be done. He knows exactly what it looks like. He has all the pieces and he has the instructions to get it done. So getting wealthy is essentially like the Legos of life, right? The Legos of life for adults. So if you understand that analogy of how we're actually going to break down these little pieces of getting rich, we're going to get into the instructions and we're actually going to get what we see on the box or in our head. Just go ahead and drop the word Legos in the chat, right? Because what I'm actually going to do is work through every single chapter of this book with you guys throughout this series and just really dig in to a deeper perspective of what it actually means. Like, what is the science of getting rich? So I'm going to play chapter 1 from the book. And this is the part where I highly, highly, highly encourage you guys to take notes, right? This is not something that you're going to understand one time, right? It may resonate with you, but it is going to take listening to over and over and over again before it actually makes sense. So I'm going to play chapter 1 of The Science of Getting Rich, and it's actually called The Right to Be Rich. The audio was about 5 minutes long, is not too long, but please just make sure you write down as much as you can and just write down anything that really, really, really sticks out to you because I love participation. And I'm going to ask you guys what stood out the most about what he just said. And then I'm going to go into my notes about it and share exactly how I use this formula, how I use this book, how I use these resources in my journey to actually getting wealthy because it's helped me a whole lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it, right? Guys got to be ready. If you guys are ready for this, drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because I don't want anybody to miss this because it's a lot. I listen to this so many times a day, and I just need to know if you guys are ready. All right, so we got some sevens coming in. So here we go, guys. Listen closely. You might miss it.
1. The right to be rich. Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. No man can rise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development unless he has plenty of money. For to unfold the soul and to develop talent, he must have many things to use, and he cannot have these things unless he has money to buy them with. A man develops in mind, soul, and body by making use of things. And society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things. Therefore, the basis of all advancement for man must be the science of getting rich. The object of all life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. Man's right to life means his right to have the free and unrestricted use of all the things which may be necessary to his fullest mental, spiritual, and physical unfoldment, or in other words, his right to be rich. In this book, I shall not speak of riches in a figurative way. To be really rich does not mean to be satisfied or contented with a little. No man ought to be satisfied with a little if he is capable of using and enjoying more. The purpose of nature is the advancement and unfoldment of life, and every man should have all that can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. To be content with less is sinful. The man who owns all he wants for the living of all the life he is capable of living is rich, and no man who has not plenty of money can have all he wants. Life has advanced so far and become so complex that even the most ordinary man or woman requires a great amount of wealth in order to live in a manner that even approaches completeness. Every person naturally wants to become all that they are capable of becoming. This desire to realize innate possibilities is inherent in human nature. We cannot help wanting to be all that we can be. Success in life is becoming what you want to be. You can become what you want to be only by making use of things. And you can have the free use of things only as you become rich enough to buy them. To understand the science of getting rich is therefore the most essential of all knowledge. There is nothing wrong in wanting to get rich. The desire for riches is really the desire for a richer, fuller, and more abundant life, and that desire is praiseworthy. The man who does not desire to live more abundantly is abnormal, and so the man who does not desire to have money enough to buy all he wants is abnormal. There are three motives for which we live. We live for the body, we live for the mind, we live for the soul. No one of these is better or holier than the other. All are alike desirable, and no one of the three, body, mind, or soul, can live fully if either of the others is cut short of full life and expression. It is not right or noble to live only for the soul and deny mind or body, and it is wrong to live for the intellect and deny body and soul. We are all acquainted with the loathsome consequences of living for the body and denying both mind and soul. And we see that real life means the complete expression of all that man can give forth through body, mind, and soul. Whatever he can say, no man can be really happy or satisfied unless his body is living fully in every function, and unless the same is true of his mind and his soul. Wherever there is unexpressed possibility or function not performed, there is unsatisfied desire. Desire is possibility seeking expression, or function seeking performance. Man cannot live fully in body without good food, comfortable clothing, and warm shelter, and without freedom from excessive toil. Rest and recreation are also necessary to his physical life. He cannot live fully in mind without books and time to study them, without opportunity for travel and observation, or without intellectual companionship. To live fully in mind, he must have intellectual recreations and must surround himself with all the objects of art and beauty he is capable of using and appreciating. To live fully in soul, man must have love, and love is denied expression by poverty. A man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits on those he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. The man who has nothing to give cannot fill his place as a husband or father, as a citizen, or as a man. It is in the use of material things that a man finds full life for his body, develops his mind, and unfolds his soul. It is therefore of supreme importance to him that he should be rich. It is perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you are a normal man or woman, you cannot help doing so. It is perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, for it is the noblest and most necessary of all studies. If you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duty to yourself, to God, and humanity. For you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself.
Wow, I love that every single time it's played. So if you guys heard what he said, right, and you caught the gist of what is going on or how this series is about to go down, just go ahead and drop some sevens in the chat. In addition to those sevens, just drop the one thing that he said that stood out to you. I need you to drop the one thing he said that stood out to you. And if you really get it, thank you, Jordan, for dropping those sevens, because this series is crazy. Thank you for people who are just joining us. We just actually listened to the clip that we're going to be going over in today's session on the science of getting rich. So in this book, he explores about 17 different topics. And the first one is the right to be rich, essentially saying you were born, right, with the desire to want more, with the desire to have more, and the desire to be abundant. Another one of my favorite mentors, Bob Proctor, would say, you were born rich. You were born rich. You are on this planet, right? You are experiencing all these things at the same time as all of the animals, right? As all of the trees, as the sky, right? As the ocean, as the fish, right? As everything. And if everything is abundant and if everything is reaching its natural potential, that's how we do natural selection and the survival of the fittest. If everything is growing, if everything is evolving, if everything is in this constant cycle of life and change, what do you think that you're here for? Right. So we got some notes in the chat. It's my right to be rich. When I have more resources, I can use my resources for my disposal. And Jordan said, live for the mind, body, and the soul. They should all be respected at the same level, not one over the other. And that's exactly right. You were literally created to be abundant. Like nothing about you is lacking except for the conditions that were actually placed on you in your life when you were born. Now, I talk about this all the time when I mention Bob Proctor and You Were Born Rich, and just saying that you literally were conditioned to believe everything that you do, the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you think about money. Now, if nobody ever told you that you were destined for more or that you have the right to have more, how would you ever know that? Right? When you start a new job or you start a new venture, if people don't give you instructions or training or tell you what to do, how do you actually know what to do? Now, when it comes to getting rich, right, it's the same exact thing. If nobody shows you the steps, if nobody gives you a guide, if nobody gives you instructions, directions, then how exactly will you know what to do? Now, when it comes to the right to being rich, you first have to accept and understand that you have the right to be rich. Who told you that you can't? Who is the gatekeeper, right? And I ask this question all the time. Who is the gatekeeper to wealth, right? Who says who can be rich and who cannot be rich? Now, what I like about what Waddles D. Waddles says is that if getting rich was all about proximity, then everybody who lives in the same community will be rich. Everybody who lives in the same household will be rich. Everybody who lives in the same community will be rich, or everybody who lives in the same community will be poor. But you have work situations where some people, like literal work situations where some people are making more than other. You have literal neighborhoods where some people are extremely wealthy, and on the next block over you see people that are not living as good as the people on this block. Now, is it their location that actually gave them that wealth and those resources and those things that they have, or was it their desire to want more and to actually create those situations and circumstances for themselves? Now, I think that the first thing you need to understand is that you do have the right to be rich. That is like the key to this entire series. You have the right to be rich. You were born to be rich, and that's something that you need to understand. There's nobody telling you that you can't. And if there is somebody telling you that you can't, who told them that they could tell you that you can't? And you need to understand that if it's your desire to want more and to be better and to grow, then you have every opportunity to do so if that is what you're seeking. Right now, in order to reach your full potential, this is another thing he mentioned. You also have to understand that you need money to do that. If you want to be the best of the best dancer, you will have to take the best of the best dance classes and the best of the best locations and be with the best of the best teachers. And of course, that's going to require the resources to do that. You can't just show up in the class. You need the money to actually get there. You need the equipment to get there. Like if you want to be a better cook, for example, I cook. Right. I need to have the best of the best materials. If I want my steaks to come out perfect, if I want my pancakes to come out perfect, I need to have the best cooking equipment. Right. I need to have the best environment. I need to have the best everything in order for me to produce the best results. So if you guys understand that you need to have the best in order to be the best and in order to produce the best, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because the only way that we get greater is through practice, right? The only way that we get greater is through experience. The only way that we have better relationships is to create better relationships with people. But this all starts with knowing that you have to have access to these things, right? If you want to be, I'm going to keep saying this, if you want to be the greatest, you must have access to the greatest. And there's no way to do that without having things. And something else he said at the beginning of this chapter was that society is so organized that people can't even advance in society without having money. So it only makes sense that you should only focus on getting money so that you can do whatever you want. He also said that you should be trying to not really give more than you get, but you should always know that your happiness is going to lie in what you can provide. Are you providing value? Can you provide for your family? Like I know I'm the type of person who I love to give gifts. I like to get gifts as well, but I love giving. So if you prefer to give, right, more to receive, just drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because in order to give more, you have to have more, right? And in order to have more, you have to want more. And in order to want more, you have to literally have that desire, understanding that more is available to you. If you were going to take a flight from here to wherever, and I told you, I'm going to upgrade your seat for free, right? I'm going to give you the quiet section. I'm going to make sure you have the most leg room. I'm going to make sure that you have the best meal on this flight. You're going to have the best experience, the best entertainment. You're going to have exclusive access to everything that people who are sitting in the regular cabin do not have. If I offered you that, right, I said, it's no cost to you. I'm going to upgrade you. Would you accept that offer? Right. And the answer is probably yes, because people, you want better. Right. And if you knew you had the opportunity to be more or to do more, why wouldn't you desire that? Or why wouldn't you go for that? Right. When we are content with where we are, it just means that we're accepting that all we are, and this is one of my favorite Bob Proctor quotes, when we are content with where we are accepting that all we are right now is all we'll ever be. And that's not completely true. Right. Now, right now, my bank account it does not have six figures in it. It does not have 100. It doesn't have two commas in it, right? It doesn't have three commas in it, but I'm getting there simply because I know that that's a possibility and an option for me. Why would I accept a five-figure bank account when I know that there's more? That means that I'm just okay with where I am. And there's nothing wrong with being okay with where you are, but just as human beings, we have a natural desire to want more. We have a natural desire to evolve, right? And the best way that you can live is to understand that your right to life is to have free and unrestricted access to everything, right? You shouldn't feel bad about that. You shouldn't feel bad about wanting to have nicer clothes made out of better materials and to see and experience better things. This earth was not created for us to stay in one place, right? This earth was created for us to explore every single aspect of it. And in order to do that, you literally need to have more resources, right? If you want to have more, you want to be more cultured, you want to have more world experience, you're not going to do that just from sitting at home and watching TV. You're not going to do that just from having conversations with people who live there. You actually have to have the resources to visit that place to be able to experience that life, to add to your own human experience. If that makes sense, drop some sevens in the chat, right? This world is so abundant, right? And because you are in this world, that naturally makes you abundant as well. And in order for you to be able to receive the full abundance of the world, you need to have more resources, and you essentially just need to have more money, right? Now, if there's something that you want right now that you do not have, right? And welcome to everybody who's just joining the call. If there's something in the world, it could be something small, it could be something big, it could be something massive, right? Like the $4 million Miami mansions that I'm looking into purchasing for myself, right? It could be something massive. If there's something that you want right now that you do not have, just go ahead and drop a 3 in the chat, right? And the only way you're going to get that thing, why don't you have it now, right? You don't have it now because you probably can't afford it, right? You don't have it now because you don't have the resources to get it. Because if you did, you would essentially have that thing. So in order for you to actually live life to the fullest, right, and to get everything that you want, you have to make more, right? Because if you don't have all the money that you want, you don't have all the things that you want. And this isn't just a conversation to say, okay, you just need to be wealthy to be selfish. It's like, no, you actually need to be rich in order to live your life to the fullest potential that there possibly is. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be stuck in Newark, New Jersey for the rest of my life when there are so many different countries to visit. There's no way that I'm going to be stuck driving the same car for the rest of my life. Thank God I have a working, reliable new vehicle, right? Shout out to Forex Funded, right? But there's no way I'm going to be stuck in this vehicle for the rest of my life when I know that the Rolls Royce exists and that's something that I want. When I know that the Lamborghini exists and is something that I want. And the only difference right now is that I just don't have the resources to get it. And in order for me to have this full expression of life, I need to be able to have more money, and I need to be okay with that, right? Like, a lot of us have been taught that when you ask for something, they're like, oh no, don't ask for that. Like, if you grew up in a household where every time you asked for something, there was tension or drama surrounding money. Oh, we don't have money for that. Do you got, this is the infamous one. You got McDonald's money. It's like, what is McDonald's money like? What's $2 or $3? So if you grew up in a household where they acted like $2 or $3, right, for something right now was a ton of money and something extra, how can they possibly tell you that $1 million is not enough? Right? If they think that $2 or $3 is too much, then they definitely think $1 million is too much. And me, myself, I want to be more than a millionaire. I want to be a multi-millionaire. I want to be a multi-billionaire. I want to have the highest net worth that anyone can actually achieve, simply because it's possible for me to do so. Right. And I know that if I had more money, I could do more things in life. I could help more people. Another thing he said that really stood out to me was that in order for you to actually fulfill your duty on this planet, fulfill your duty to yourself, fulfill your duty to God, fulfill your duty to other people, you need to have the resources to do that as well. Like, I know a lot of us, if you are the type of person where you actually want to be in a position, like you actually want to get rich, to be in a position to help your family, to help your friends, to help your loved ones, to build your business, go ahead and drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because the only way you're going to be able to help anybody else is if you help yourself first. And the only way you're going to help yourself first is if you understand that the desire to be rich is natural, right? It's natural, right? So whenever you guys start stressing or freaking out about money, I want you to just remind yourself that this desire to be rich is natural. This is natural. It's natural to want more, right? If you ever been at a job, you've been in an unhappy situation, you've been in an unhappy relationship, you're only feeling that way because you know that's not what you deserve and you deserve more. Right. If you've ever said that to yourself in any type of situation, especially a work situation, especially a romantic situation, especially a financial situation, any situation where you told yourself, I deserve more, it's because that's your natural inclination to want more because you know there's more out there. Right. God wouldn't give you two eyes to see. Right. He wouldn't give you a nose to smell. He wouldn't give you a mouth to taste with so many different senses. He wouldn't give you ears to hear if it wasn't for you to have more experiences. Right. Your five senses are extremely important into creating the life that you want. And it starts with manifesting and focusing on your desire to want more because it's not a bad thing. I know a lot of people, because I felt this way for a long time, they feel bad about wanting more money because you don't want people to say, oh, you think you're better than everybody else. Well, guess what? Yes, I do. I do think I'm better than everybody else, but that's okay because everybody else can have that same feeling too. It's not coming from a place of arrogance, but it's like, I know my worth. I know what I desire. I know what's available to me. So I'm going to get it. If somebody told me, right, and this is what I'm telling you guys right now, that there is an infinite amount of money in the world, money can be printed, right? Money is just a resource. Like, and that's something that we need to remember too. Money can be printed. So if you feel like you don't have enough money, guess what? It's just not in your bank account, right? The difference between the money you want, right, and the money you're going to have is just that the consumer did not buy the product that you're offering yet. The consumer did not buy the service. The transfer of wealth has not happened yet, but the money that you seek and desire is already out there. You just have to be willing to tap into that expression and say, okay, this is what I want and I'm going to get it. It's even as simple as when you're hungry. I use this example a lot as well. When you're hungry, you say, I want to eat, right? This is what I want to eat. Maybe you want to eat a salad. So you're going to either get up, you're going to make your salad, or next time you go to the grocery store, you're going to make sure that you have every single thing that you need for that salad, right? It's a simple task, but you get it done. But eating is a part of life. We need to start to make our focus on getting rich and wealthy a habitual behavior, right? We need to shift our paradigms into understanding that money is something that we should have, right? It was not created just to be hoarded by a select few people, right? It was not created just to be another fancy piece of paper. It was created so that you can use it so that you could develop and evolve your life, right? Because like Wallace D. Wattles said, success is becoming what you want to be, not what somebody else said you should be or with the limits placed upon you. Right now, if we were in a race, and this is how a lot of us are right now, if we were literally all in a race, right? And I know you guys have probably seen this clip with the kids who are trying to get to the finish line. And the guy is basically asking them, if you had a parent who helped you pay for college, take a step. If you have financial assistance, take a step. And you see a lot of people that are actually still at the finish line, and some people never got to advance, while other people were able to get ahead of the game simply because they had more resources, right? It's not a matter of who you are, it's a matter of what you want. Now, society will try to make you believe that who you are, right? Who your family is, where you come from, where you live, what your name is, what your name is spelled like. They will really try to have you believe that you're not good enough or that you're not invited into this exclusive party of the rich and the wealthy. Let me just be here to dispel that is not true. Now, society may have been designed in a way to try to keep you down, but that doesn't right or doesn't make it true. There was a point in time where alcohol, right, the prohibition era, alcohol was actually illegal. Now, could you imagine in today's day and age, alcohol being illegal? There would be mad speakeasies, right? There was a point in time where it was illegal for Black people to be educated, right? Don't educate these people. Don't do this for these people. Keep these people down in society. It was legal, right? Now, just because it's legal, that doesn't make it true, and that does not make it right. These people are not God. They don't get to say who has wealth and who doesn't. So we need to all be grateful, right, that we live in a world today that's a little bit more free. It may not be ideal, it may not be the way we want it to be, but guess what? We can read, right? We have access to books, we have access to the internet, we have access to audiobooks, we have access to people, conversations, and networks that actually show us a different way of life, which is why I appreciate this community so much, right? Because if it wasn't for this community, I would not be so tunnel vision focused on wealth. I would not understand as deeply that wealth is my birthright. I would not understand that when I focus on something wholeheartedly and I actually have the instructions and the blueprint to get there, then it's more attainable, right? I feel like the reason why a lot of people don't succeed in what they want to do is because they're not following the blueprint, right? If I gave you a blueprint to a house, you may not be able to fully understand how it's going to look, but at least you have the vision, right? You know exactly what it's going to take to get that house built. So when it's actually built, it's really not going to be a surprise. It's just maybe you couldn't see the full thing, but it's not like you didn't have the instructions, right? If you ever gotten a piece of furniture from IKEA or another furniture store, all of the instructions are there. It's not all put together, but all of the instructions are there. And that's the same exact way that your life is designed. Every person that you've ever met, every experience that you've ever had, every dollar that you spent, every single thing was a piece of the puzzle to get you to that final step. And you actually now at this point in your life, if you don't have the full blueprint, because it's not that hard, right? There's a science to getting rich. If you don't have the full blueprint, at least you have the awareness that it's out there, right? You know that you can become rich. You know that it's not impossible, right? It is not impossible. And even in the word impossible says, I'm possible, right? It's possible. Anything is possible once you put your mind to. And that's something that I really had to understand. Like I've been hearing if you've ever heard the phrase, you create your own reality, right? Just drop some sevens in the chat. Cause that phrase has been around my life, honestly, since I was a child, but did it really make any sense to me? No. Is it starting to make more sense to me now? Yes. You literally create your reality by what you believe, because what your body does is only a result of what your mind is telling it to do. Your body is literally not operating on its own, right? Your body is controlled by your paradigm, and your paradigm is controlled by a set of habitual behaviors. And habitual behaviors, right? If you guys watch the Words Have Power episode of the Money Mantra, we went into these exact definitions of words, right? And words really have power. Habitual is something that you do almost all the time, every time, without even thinking about it, right? And our paradigm is based off of our habitual behaviors, and almost all of our behaviors are habitual. So if you can change the way that you think, you can change the results that you're getting, and you can change the way that your body is moving. If you go to bed, right? If you go to sleep thinking about, not stressing about, thinking about, right? Critically thinking about, how can I become wealthy? What is the next step? What do I need to do? Right. And now that you have these resources, all you have to literally do is do it. Then once you do that enough times, you're going to start to wake up and automatically start to get the business to achieve that goal. But most of us now are going to sleep thinking about what happened already in the day. Why are you thinking about the past? It literally already happened. Like it happened today. That's not what you should be focused on. You should really be focused on creating your future. Now, in my previous video, I did say, take time to critically think about the past, but don't harp on it. It's also there to be a resource because it already happened, but that's not what you should go to bed thinking about. You should go to bed thinking about, what is my plan for today? How is this getting me closer to my goal? And literally, once you do that enough times, it's going to be conscious, and you thinking about getting wealthy and you in your pursuit to wealth is going to become a habitual behavior. And remember, habitual is something you don't think about. Just to give you guys some context, when you wake up in the morning, I hope this is habitual. You brush your teeth. I genuinely hope that's habitual, because some people do not do that. When you wake up in the morning, you stretch, right? You use the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, right? If you do those three things in the morning, almost every morning, right? Depending on the situation, you may be traveling, etc. and all that stuff. Just drop some threes in the chat. If you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, wash your face, and use the bathroom. Drop some threes in the chat, right? Now, when you do these things, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go to bed the night before thinking, yo, when I wake up in the morning, I'm about to use this bathroom. I'm about to brush my teeth. I'm about to wash my face. Like, you don't have to think about that, because it's already something that's ingrained in you. It's already a habitual behavior. Now, when you are driving, let's just say you take the same route to the same place every time. Maybe you go to the grocery store, maybe you go to the gas station. It's a habitual behavior. You don't have to think about it, right? When you get dressed, you put your shirt over your head and you put your pants over your legs. You don't put your pants on your head, and you don't put your leg in your shirt. Like, you just don't do that, because that's not a habitual behavior. You know exactly what to do. Now, the purpose of this series is to teach you, just the money mantra in general is to teach you how to create positive habitual behaviors. But it comes with repetition, and it comes with understanding that these concepts are real. They've been tested through the test of time. You can look at any successful person and they'll let you know that, what did they do? They had consistency, right? They had tunnel vision. They picked one thing that they wanted to do and they focused on it until they got it done, right? Now, a lot of things will distract you, but that doesn't mean that you should stop what you're doing simply because you're not getting the results that you want, because you have to remember that this pursuit is very necessary in order for you to have exactly what you want out of life, right? It's not to say that you can't be happy or content with where you are now, but you have to understand that there's more out there and it's your right to actually access these things, right? So like Wallace D. Wattles said, there's a lot of information to know, right? There's a lot of things to study. Some people study very specific things, right? That use different mental faculties, but the most important thing to study in life is the science of getting rich, because this opens up everything else for you, right? Now, if you guys are tuned into the Digital Dash, right, which is a call that happens every Sunday at 12 p.m. and every Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. So we have a call tonight. We did talk about, dang, I forgot. But it is just in regard to, I'm sorry, guy, I lost my train of thought, but I'm gonna just get back to the other point. This is the most important thing that you can focus on and the most important thing that you can learn, because it opens up so many other opportunities for you. Just focusing on how to get rich, how to train your mind, how to reset the things that you're thinking, because what you're thinking may not be right. I love analogies because they help me understand things better. And you have to know that your brain currently, right, is like a phone. Your mind currently is like your phone, right? Now, a lot of us get new phones every time a new phone comes out, but do we update our mind the same way we update our phones? Right now, your phone is going to take all the cracks that you give it. Your phone may run out of space. Your phone may shut down sometimes. It may lag. It may go slow. And then when you get down to it, you'll be like, oh, either I need a new phone or my phone needs an update. You have to think about your mind just like your phone. Everything you're putting into it is what's going to be there, and it's exactly what you're going to get out of it. And if you're not telling yourself every single day, right, if you're not creating that habitual behavior, that habitual pattern to say, I want to be wealthy, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy, I want to be rich, then you're not going to believe it. I feel like a lot of people give up on their, not even affirmations, right? We talked about affirmations to confirmations on the Digital Dash as well. But if you are not consistently telling yourself something, or you give up on it too soon, there's no way that you're going to achieve that thing. If your plane was to literally just stop flying in the middle of the air, right? Or your car was to just stop in the middle of the road, how are you going to get to your destination? Are you just going to sit there and be like, well, car broke down? No, you're going to automatically try to jump and find a way to fix it so that you can continuously get to your destination. Success is the same way. Just because there's a shortage, just because there's a cracked screen, just because space ran out, that doesn't mean that that's not still something that you need to do, or that's not still somewhere that you need to get, right? And I'm telling you guys today that you need to focus on getting rich. Sometimes you may have to forget people. Sometimes you may have to forget things. Sometimes you may have to forget places. Sometimes you may have to change your other habits, because the only way to really change a habit is to replace it with another one, right? You're only switching out one thing that you're doing for another thing that you're doing. So if you typically get up in the morning and after you stretch, you go straight to your phone and check your emails, maybe the first thing you need to do is listen to an audiobook, right? Get something else in your mind that's really going to help you jumpstart the day, and just to remind you of what you came here for, right? Did you come here to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again? Did you come here to only deal with drama? Did you come here to live a low level life? Did you come here to stay in the same city, drive the same car, wear the same clothes, smell the same, eat the same foods for the rest of your life, right? If you came here to be the same for the rest of your life, drop a one in the chat, right? But if you know that you came here to actually make an impact, make a change, and you deserve, right, to live at the highest quality of life, drop some sevens in the chat, right? And I did not expect to see no ones, right? You were created for something much greater. And the only way that society can function is if you do your part, right? There is literally something inside you that somebody needs to hear. There is literally something in your mind that somebody needs to see. There is literally a product or service that's on your heart that's going to help save a lot of lives. But if you're not in tune, or if you don't think it's relevant, and you don't think that by getting more resources to get this dream out of your heart, that is not going to be a problem, then you are mistaken, right? You need more resources, and that's okay as well. You don't have to feel bad about wanting more resources, because again, if we had everything that we wanted and needed, then we would be doing everything that we wanted and needed, and there would be no journey, there would be no fun, right? So they say life is a pursuit. It's a pursuit to happiness. It's not the happiness express where things are going to be good all the time, because Our parents probably didn't have the tools to give us what we needed. Their parents probably didn't have the tools to give them what they needed. So how can you have what you need? It's going to take a complete reset, right? You may need to get a new phone, right? You may need to update that hardware system and figure out what you're putting in there, right? What is coming out is exactly what you're putting in there. Oh, you always tired? Stop telling yourself you always tired. Oh, you always broke? Stop telling yourself you always broke. Oh, you always this? Stop saying that and start saying what you actually want, right? I realize that most people spend so much time focusing on what they don't want versus what they do want. And it shows in the results that they have, right? It shows in the results that they have. So many people are too focused on the worldly things, right? They're only focused on getting the money. So they forget about their mind, right? And they forget about their soul and they forget about the greater purpose into why they're doing this all the time. And that's why things don't work out. Nothing that's built on injustice or negativity is really going to last. There has to be a well balance. You have to make sure that you're serving every part of yourself in order again to reach your highest potential. Because at first you must accept and desire so deeply in your soul more, right? Whatever more means to you, because it is about money, right? I'm not going to say it's not just about money, because it is about money, right? If you try to go to the store right now and just walk out and say, you know what, my body and my soul wants this, I'm gonna just take it, my mind and my body. No, you need the money to get that thing, right? So it's important that you do have a well balance of the mind, the body, and the spirit to be able to reach your higher self and get the things that you want. Like you said, if you want to have the best mind, you have to read the best books that are talking about the mind. You have to read stuff or listen to stuff like The Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, right? The Go Giver, right? The Tipping Point, right? Tools of Titans. You have to read and accept these things. But how can you read and accept these things if you don't have time for that because you're always working or you're always tired and you're always sleep because you're always tired, and that's the reality you're creating for yourself, right? How can you possibly have time to exercise, right, and get your body right? How can you possibly have time to eat better and do better if you don't have the resources, right? How can you possibly have time? A lot of us are, again, I'm tired, I'm working, I don't have time for that, I don't have time for this. That's the biggest excuse when it comes to blocking people's success. I don't have time. And if you don't have time to get better, if you don't have time to learn, if you don't have time to practice your trading, if you don't have time to launch, if you don't have time to talk about your business, if you don't have time to eat healthy, if you don't have time to read the Bible, if you don't have time to spend with God, how can you possibly get better if you're not doing those things, right? Like, how can you expect to do something great if you're not doing something, right? And that's a question I really need you to ponder on. How many days and how many hours and months and years are we going to keep saying next year, next year, next year, next year? I saw somebody post, mind you, today is only January 19th. I saw somebody's post on January 15th that said, "This is not my year, throw the whole year away." I was just like, on the 15th, like, what are you thinking? Like, where's your head at? Is that all you're going to accept for yourself? Right? I have somebody else who said, "Hey, I'm ready to get started. I really want to do this thing." But every single time I ask them anything, "Hey, what have you been doing? Have you been practicing?" It's just always an excuse. And I'm like, how do you expect to do anything if you're not doing anything? Right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And that's also one of my favorite quotes because it's so simple, but it's so profound, right? You have to have time for these things, right? You have to have time for these things. How do you expect to have a closer relationship with God and to manifest better and to get the things you want and essentially pull them out of thin air? How do you expect to continue to be blessed and to get lucky if you're not making time for those things because you keep making excuses, right? The only way you're going to be able to get to the best version of yourself is if you make time for all of these things. You have to have time to read. You have to have time for leisure. You have to have time for travel. You have to have time to study. You have to have time to eat good food, right? You have to have time to work on your body. You have to have time to work on your image. I know me, myself, I personally don't like shopping, and I wish I had a personal shopper because when I have to shop, I typically just do hauls. So I get it out the way all at one time because I have to make time to do these things because nobody's going to do it for me. I'm not going to look like the person I want to look like if I'm not making time to get the things I need to be that person. And I won't be able to become this person if I'm not having the resources to get those things. Like, we can't just sit and fantasize and dream all day, every day. And that's the only thing we do and say, "Oh, I just wish I had my dream body and I wish I had all these zeros in my bank account and I wish I knew more to do better. If I knew better, I'd do better." It's like, you have to make time for those things. And the only way you're going to do that is if you choose to do that. Your desire, right? Your desire to do better has to be so strong, right? That it outweighs your desire to fail, right? Your desire to win has to be so strong that it outweighs your desire to fail, right? If you want to win more than you want to fail, drop some sevens in the chat. right? Because until that desire, right, until your desire to win right now replaces your desire to lose and your desire to be content and accepting that all that you are right now is all you'll ever be, then that's all you'll ever be, right? Because it really does start in your mind, right? Right? Wallace D. Wattles literally said, real life is the complete expression of every function, and is desire, and desire is the possibility seeking expression. So when you want something so bad, it's because you desire that thing and you need it, right? We're all not in this space by accident, right? You guys are not on this call by accident, right? You are either on this call because you were led by the spirit, right? Or because somebody brought you here. And either way, that person cares about you enough to say that this is what you should be focused on, right? You need to give all of your attention. And this is actually how he wrapped up the chapter 1, because this is only chapter 1 of the book. He wrapped this up by saying you need to give all of your attention to the science of getting rich, because everything else comes from that thing, right? And it's not just about the money. It is about the money. That's important, but it's not just about the money. It's about your personal desire to live a more fulfilling life. How do you live a more fulfilling life? And this is just a funny but obvious question. How can you possibly live a more fulfilling life where you are right now if you're not happy where you are right now, but you're not doing anything to change where you are, right? There's no way that that's going to happen. There's absolutely no way. You have to take little changes, right? You have to do razor's edge activity, which means doing one extra thing a day. Maybe you're tired, but you stay up an extra hour to get on the training. Maybe you're tired, but you make that one extra phone call to a client, and that's the client that really changes everything, right? Maybe you're tired, but you still get up early and you get that workout in. Maybe you're tired, right? Because that's the biggest excuse, but you stay up a little later to make sure you get that workout in, right? Maybe it's going to cost $2 or $3 extra, but you're going to choose to get the salad today instead of going for, like me, French fries, spicy chicken sandwich, right? You have to be willing to do a little bit more if you want to get a little bit more, because that 1% is extremely important. And I believe I said this on another call. It takes 1 degree of difference to change from water to steam, right? It takes 1 degree of difference to take ice from being solid until it starts to melt, right? It takes one little thing being off in a scientific equation to literally mess up everything. So if that 1% is so critical and so crucial, then you need to focus on getting 1% better every single day, because it makes a difference, right? Because if you keep doing the same things and telling yourself the same thing over and over again, you're going to stay in that same paradigm. And guess what? It's not a surprise, but you're going to get the same results, right? If you're continuing to take advice from people who are not studying the science of getting rich, but they're studying the science of staying poor, then guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen to you as well. You have to continue to listen to that person inside of yourself, right? Listen to that spirit inside of yourself that's saying, I want more, and then just figure out how to get it. Don't try to quiet it down, because that's what everybody else in your life has tried to do. They try to quiet you down. You tell yourself, I desire more, I want more. And then you have these naysayers and people studying the science of being broke, right? Oh, why do you want that? I remember when I was 16 years old, I saw a program, because I'm like, I be watching weird stuff all the time. So I was watching just this program on just like different, just the life and style of the rich and the famous, something like that. And I just was like, ooh, I want a private jet, right? And I was 16 years old, and I just told my friends, because we were watching it together, like, yo, when I get my private jet, and I'm speaking it in real time as if it's happening, but I'm 16 years old. I don't know nothing about the science of getting rich. I don't know about Proctor. I don't know Wallace D. Wattles. I don't know none of this stuff, but I know my desire for more was there. I was like, oh, I can't wait till I get my 10-passenger jet. It's going to be me, you and you and you. We're going to be doing this. When I tell you, it was like 4 or 5 people in the room, and they were just all like, why you need a jet? Why you need a jet? I'm like, because it's there. Like, what do you mean? Like, if I can go to my location from here to there and I don't got to be in the airport, I don't got to take off my shoes, I don't got to do all the extra stuff, then yeah, I want the jet. Like, I want that for my life. And I surrounded myself with those people for 6 or 7 more years after that. And I know for a fact it limited my growth, because these were my friends, right? I considered their opinions, right? We had common interests, right? I didn't want to make anybody feel bad for looking good and having money. I didn't want to do that, right? I wanted everybody to feel comfortable, right? But success and being rich is very uncomfortable, right? What do we say in this business? See you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Don't let those people cloud your vision of what you want. If you want a 10-passenger jet, put your focus on that and go get it, right? If you want to have a mini mansion and it may only just be you, guess what? Set your heart on that and go get it. Like, who's to say you can't have things? You want things, and it's going to increase the quality of your life. Who's to say you can't become a chairman in this business or have a 7-figure business as an entrepreneur within your first year, right? If that's what you desire, then you can certainly have that, but you have to understand that it's your right to do that. And when you're in that position to make that money, you're not going to be, it's not like you're going to get there and just be sitting there by yourself. You're going to have hundreds and thousands of lives that you've impacted because of your product or services. And now their lives are improved. You're going to be able to give money to your children, right? Save money for your grandchildren, create a legacy based off this business that you created because you had a desire for something more, right? That's very important to think about, right? When you are sitting comfortable, right? And you are in your luxury fabrics and your luxury home and your family is good. Your parents are good. Your siblings are good. Your cousins are good. Even maybe family members you didn't even like, but you have peace in your heart knowing that everybody's sleeping well and everybody ate because you decided that you wanted to take advantage of the right to be rich. You'll feel so much better when everything is done just because you made a decision. Right now, I'm not going to say it's not an easy decision because it is. And I only need people to drop one of two things in the chat, either yes or no. Do you want to be rich in this lifetime? Right? Do you want to be rich in this lifetime? Right? Do you want to aspire to inspire before you expire? Right? Is that your desire? And if it is, then guess what? You will have it simply because that's what you're focused on. You just cannot let anybody distract you. Right? You have to give your attention to the science of getting rich because it is your birthright to do so. And your life will just be so much more abundant once you have the money to live the way you want to live. Because it's not just about flexing. Mind you, I will be flexing. Y'all see this hair? Okay. Okay. I definitely will be flexing. I definitely will be posting, but it's not about the lifestyle. It's about, guess what? I have more money, right? Which means that I have more time for myself, which means that I'm reading more and I'm getting smarter every single day, right? I'm applying the 888 rule, right? I'm sleeping 8 hours a day, maybe even more. Because guess what? I got the time and financial freedom to do that, right? I'm spending 8 hours of learning, right? Repeatedly listening to Think and Grow Rich, right? Listening to the science of getting rich, right? Listening to these business books because I'll have the time to do that. I can even read a new book every single week because I'll have the time to do that, which means I'm consistently getting myself better. I'm consistently improving my mindset, which means I can consistently come here and do these calls and consistently impact people on a positive basis. And because you guys are on this call, I know you're going to feel the energy and I know that the rest of your day is going to be abundant, right? But we're only here because I put in the time to learn and educate myself. You're putting in the time to learn and educate yourself, right? You're putting in that time, right? I know for a fact I'm going to have 8 hours of leisure to do things that I love to do, right? I'm going to get deeper into my study of mycology, right? If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm going to get deeper into my podcasting, right? I'm going to get deeper into all of my things that I love to do, right? The desire, seeking expression through me simply because I have the time, because I have more money, right? My life is so full, right? And it's only getting fuller by the day because I've accepted, you know what? Like somebody's not going to walk up to me because this is what I'm doing to you guys right now. You're not going to walk up to me and say, you was born to be rich. You great. You abundant. You amazing. It's a blank check with your name on it from the Lord. Blank check with my name on it from the Lord. Ain't nobody about to say that to me and I'm just going to take it as a grain of salt and walk away. No, I'm going to accept that and I'm going to get to business, right? I'm going to accept that and I'm going to get to business, right? So that is actually going to wrap up the first episode of this series. We are going to be going through this entire book, right? It's called The Science of Getting Rich by Wattles D. Wattles. If you have Apple Music, Spotify, it is something that you can listen to on your own time, start to put it in your paradigm and just really make it something that you understand, right? Now, next week on Wednesday, we will be going over chapter 2 of this book, which called There Is a Science to Getting Rich. And we're going to get even more deeper into what it means, right? What it means to understand the science of getting rich, because this was just the intro. And I know it was hot. It was hot like fire. That's just what the money mantra does. That is what Off the Chart seeks to do. And I thought that going through this book would be in perfect alignment with the things that we already talk about on the daily basis when it comes to this. So if you haven't checked out any of the other episodes of Off the Charts, make sure you go over to my YouTube and look at the Off the Charts playlist. It is the Money Mantra on YouTube. You should be able to find it, or put the Money Mantra Off the Charts and I'm sure it will come up. Topics like this are always covered, but for the next couple of weeks, we will be breaking down Mr. Wattles D. Wattles. And whenever you guys see that little picture, right, whenever you guys see limited series, just know we getting deep, right? Just know we getting deep. So if you guys enjoyed this, I highly encourage you to go ahead and post it on your Instagram. Let people know what we were talking about. Make sure you tag me at Money Mantra Child. Make sure you tag the Cosmic Club because I do raffles all the time because I love participation. I give away money. I give away books. I give away one-on-one sessions. And my time is for sure not free. So if you really enjoyed this session today, make sure you share it. Make sure you let other people know what's going on. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And last but certainly not least, if you are free tonight, and if you're not free, make time. We do have the Digital Dash once again, and the Digital Dash is all about entrepreneurship and making sure that you metaphorically put your foot on the gas to keep it going, right? So I'm super excited to share this information with you guys all the time, and I look forward to connecting with y'all next week. It's been real, family.